I love Mount & Blade Warband. I know, surprising, right? It's probably the best game ever made, but there is one aspect of the game that I really hate. Can you all guess what it is? That and meeting nomads, which I'm sure all of you here find very amusing. This has been a major issue that plagued me throughout countless modules until I started playing Viking Conquest. Viking Conquest is set in Northern Europe during the 9th century, with historically accurate armaments, buildings and cultures. I never really was into this DLC, at least before these few weeks after I finally found out how to get better with the game. And so I started playing the DLC for some time. Now, before I tell you all about the things I like here, I must remind all of you that this video tends to be subjective in nature. Plus, I play this with these settings, so my experience is largely affected by these choices, which suits me the best. With all of that in mind, here are the things I liked from Viking Conquest. Number 1. The run speed modifier. I must say that it really feels great in this mod. It makes combat a lot more interesting, plus it lets me dodge projectiles better. Number 2. Neutral locations and places of interest on the map. The only other mod that I have played which also features this would be Nova Aitas. It adds an element of adventure to the game, instead of only competing factions. Number 3. Ability to upgrade the modifier of your equipment. I frankly really hate how sometimes you find good equipments, but they have very bad modifiers, which makes me not want to buy them. With this, equipment RNG feels like less of an issue. Number 4. Less emphasis on ranged weaponry, which I consider a good thing since I doubt anyone here enjoys being turned into pincushion by a squad of archers, yes? I generally play in 100% damage and I'm not pleased when some asshole with a crossbow, or even worse, a gun, could get lucky and kill me in a single shot. A module where this rarely happens is a godsend. Number 5. Less emphasis on cavalry. This might come as a surprise, but I actually enjoyed playing a module where cavalry barely exists, to the point where I generally play on foot, also helped by the increased run speed modifier. The character background screen. The vanilla character creation screen is a bit too clunky. Meanwhile, Viking Conquest has this wonderful, streamlined design where you can easily change parts of your background when creating your character. If it had information on how the background actually affects your character's stats, it would have been perfect. Number 7. The leveling system. Unlike other Warband modules, in Viking Conquest you can increase your skills for every 2 points of a stat correspondent to said skill, and have 2 free skill points per level. The only complaint I have for this is that the stats you get at the start becomes a lot more important, yet sadly you don't always get the same amount for each background choice. Number 8. Naval combat. I enjoyed the whole rowing and boarding part of the whole thing. Also helps that this feature also ensures that infantrymen would be more useful, as one cannot use horses in naval combat. Number 9. Spear animation. Although the spear and shield combination is horrendous for duels, this is one of the modules where having more spearmen in your army is not detrimental, since the overhead stab animation allows the spearmen to stab targets whilst behind their fellow soldier. Number 10. The Refuge and Troop Quarters. In this DLC, you can build your own hideout or refuge in almost any place on the map. The Refuge is where you can store troops for an invasion, train them as well, perhaps even having your own meat hall and many other things. Quarters, on the other hand, allows you to store troops on the map without having to build it first, like the Refuge, although it is less versatile in use. That is what I can list for now. As for what I think Viking Conquest gets wrong, number 1. This weird sneaking animation. Before I got used to it, I was caught off guard since it puts away your weapons. I don't believe this has any merit in being inside the game, as there is not a lot of stealth in Warband to begin with. Number 2. Placement of NPCs. It was quite troublesome to look for physicians within the game when you first start out, since the maps are large and you tend to not have a horse. It definitely would have been a lot better if all of this could be done through the menu instead. Frankly, this would not have been a big problem if it weren't for features that you can only access through directly meeting the NPCs. Number 3. Shield Bash. Theoretically, it is a great way to encourage cooperation between fellow soldiers in group versus group fights, since it doesn't actually provide an opening for the one performing the bash. The one who primarily benefits from this is the ally of the one who does the bash, since it forcibly mobilizes both the one performing the attack and the one defending against said attack. It basically functions similarly to a kick, but one that actually lands on people that backpedal. I'm against this mechanic since it makes being outnumbered a lot more dangerous, not to mention that there is no counter against this. In fairness, I can see that this, combined with the armor skill penalty and bleeding mechanic, would make early units useful, instead of just getting curb stomped by high-end ones. And that's what I think. I have to give credit to the creators of this DLC for letting the player toggle whether the additional features are enabled or not. So if I don't like a feature, I always have the option to disable it. If you guys disagree with the things I mentioned or would like to give some extra input on what you like about the DLC, by all means, post a comment. If this video was amusing, please subscribe. That's all I have to say for this video, and as always, have a great time.